Hey Rick, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. All right, let's see. Um, All right, let's start with questions module 3, last day for module 3. So any question regarding that?
No, everything. I just recently finished up the work and it seemed pretty straightforward. So,
Okay, all right. So today I want to cover something really exciting. It's not really part of the modules or anything like that. Let me show you the small demo. It's a very small demo. You can see it's actually, okay, it's a video. So this is a web page. You can see it's pretty simple web page. And it has text box. You can put some square feet in there. And when you click on the predict house price button, it predict the price. Basically using the machine learning algorithm that we have done a number of times, probably using uh, linear regression. So how can we build this whole setup? Meaning, how can we build this website? What do we need to do to train it? How do we use the model? So all of these different things. And again, this is not really part of, you're not going to find anything in Canvas regarding this. So this is something extra, but I think it's really nice that we can actually see a website using our own machine learning model. So that's the practical side of it. Okay, so we'll take small steps. The first thing is how to train the model. Well, you already know how to train the model. I've imported pandas, matplotlib, loading some sort of a home prices.csv with square feet information. Well, it's kind of like this, area and price, and plotting linear regression, creating an instance of linear regression, calling the fit function. On the x-axis, we have area. On the y-axis, we have the price. That's what we want to find out. When we predict a price for 2,000 square feet, it tells us it's $565,000. The score for this particular model is 99%. Okay, so at this point, this is some of the stuff that we have already, done a number of times. Uh, Obviously, in your actual application, you will not only have the square feet or the area, you will have many other fields like number of bathroom, number of bedroom, uh, you know, how close it is to the city, how close it is to the school. But anyway, so we're just taking a very simple example. So the next thing we want to do is how do we go about saving this model? Right now, we have created this model that when we pass in the square feet, it can predict, but how do we save it? So in order to save it, there are multiple ways. One of the ways to save it is by using a package called Pickle, and you don't really have to do anything to, install it. I think it's already part of, either it's a part of Python or it's probably part of Python itself. So you can just import that, import Pickle. And using Pickle, we can save our model. And once we save our model, that will allow us to reuse it without training because it's already trained, reuse it in different scenarios, like maybe on a web application that we're trying to build. So in order to save our model, we will say with open, and we will have to provide some sort of a name for our model. So let's say home price model. And next option for the open is what kind of a file mode that you're opening to. Do you want to read the model or do you want to write the model? So this will be WB, write the model in binary. So we're going to write the model in binary as F. It doesn't really matter. So this open function this is just pure Python, is going to return some sort of a stream, which or an object that will be represented by F, but this can be anything. You can call it file stream if you want to, or FS as file stream. And this object will have different functions to save and all that stuff. But right now we're using pickle. So we can say pickle.dump the file stream. So whatever the, well, not the file stream, the LR, which is our linear regression, the thing that you want to save, and through the use of file stream. And that's it, like 2 lines you need to save your model to a file called home price model. Let's go ahead and run this. Oops. Let's make sure. Okay, so probably I need to go ahead and run all of these because maybe I forgot to run some of the cells. And okay, I think now it hopefully should have saved. Let's go ahead and check if there's a file called home price model saved in our folder. There we go. So you can see home price model is saved. So this is our model. This is the model that we have saved, and this model can predict prices based on the area. And now we can use it, reuse it in other applications. All right. Any questions about that?
Does it save as a specific file type? Whenever you,
I think it just saves it as a data file, but let me see, open with, well, I guess I can just always go over here, sample project, home price model. It just says that it's saved as a document, and I think it's kind of like binary data.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
All right. So this means that now we have saved the model, and that model can predict the prices based on the square feet. Now we can use this model somewhere, and that somewhere can be our web application. Now, there are many ways of creating web application, so let's go ahead and see how we can create that. We'll use Flask. So Flask is a kind of like a very mini or compact framework that allows you to quickly create websites and web application using Python. So let's go ahead and see that how we can install all of these things. I think I've already installed it, but let's see how we can install this. So we'll say installation. Okay, so it's saying create the project, go into the project, run this file. Okay, so I'll create a new folder. I'll call it home price detector, I guess. That's just the name of my folder. And I'll open up another terminal. I'll go in there, and then I will run this command that they're telling me, Python 3, and here is the installation instruction. It was quite simple to get started with Flask. Let's go ahead and copy that. Have you ever worked with any kind of a web framework, Rick? Like maybe Mustache, ASP.NET?
So yeah, I've taken the React course with Digital Craft, so I've done React. I can do like just a vanilla HTML,
Okay, all
CSS,
right.
JavaScript. So yeah, I can make
All right.
website.
And in the React, did they talk about, in the course, did they talk about server side pages or template pages? I don't think they did, right?
Uh, I
Mustache,
I don't know.
handlebars. No? Okay, so probably not. Yeah.
No.
All right. So let's go ahead and copy that. Run it over here. Okay, it did something. Then it's saying activate the environment. So I'll copy this along with the dot. And now it's activated because I can see there's some dot environment over here. And then I'll install Flask. Okay, I'll install that. Okay, so that is also installed. And that's pretty much it to install Flask. Let's go ahead and open this up. Now, right now, we don't really have anything in there. Obviously, it's just some folders in there, but that's not our folder. So I'm going to go ahead and add a file. I'll call it app.py, but you can call it anything you want. And let's see that what they're talking about, how we can get like a quick start, like how we can go to a URL and Flask can just give us hello world kind of thing. Okay, so they're telling us from Flask, import Flask. All right. From Flask, import Flask. Then app equals to Flask name. I guess that's the name of our app, which is home price detector. And then now we have to create routes. Like where would the user go to say hello, or where would the user go to, to get the predictions. But right now we're just going to start with hello. So if I create a route called hello, what would it return? Well, if you go to hello, it will return hello world. And we have to decorate it with a attribute, which is route, and then the actual route. So this means that if you go to Google, well, not google.com, but if you go to whatever your website URL is, and that's .com or whatever, .net, like the root, then this function is going to get executed and it's on, and then it's going to return you hello world. Well, let's see. So after this, let's go ahead and run this part. This one. We can open up a terminal. Flatscap run hello. I don't think we have hello, right? Our app is called, or our file is called app, which is kind of confusing now. So let me actually change. Well, you can, what I mean. Like app is also the name of the file. So probably I should rename this to something else. I'll call it server because it is a server. Okay, so this is running on our local host port number 5000. So let's go. And there we go. We see hello world. So that's pretty cool that just like writing with a couple of lines of code, now our server is running using Flask, and obviously we're writing Python. And if we go to this URL, which is our development URL, it shows us hello world. So that's kind of cool. But what if I wanted to go to slash something else? Let's say Batman. How can I do that? Well, I'll have to create a different route. I'll call it, I can call this route anything I want. It doesn't have to be called Batman, but I'll call it something like that. Batman movie, that's what I'm going to return. And this app.route is the one that's going to say that what will the route looks like. So I'm going to say /Batman. And since I added some stuff in this file, I need to stop the server and then restart the server again. Okay, so if I go to 5000, it's hello world. If I go to Batman, it says Batman movie. All right, so this is the part that is going to match. You can see it's matching, and then it invokes this thing. This function name can be anything. It doesn't have to be Batman, I guess. I mean, it can be anything. It can be get Batman or fetch Batman movies or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And when I remove all the routes and I simply say kind of like this, that's a root, then it matches with this one. And it returns hello world. So both of them are returning you well, string, Batman or something else. All right, so this is kind of like simple to set up, which is kind of cool, really simple to set up. But now the question is, okay, this is like string, this is Batman. What about our prediction for the home prices? How can we do that? I mean, that's what we really want. Well, the first thing we need to do is in this particular structure, in this particular, the project, we don't even have the model, meaning we don't have the machine learning model. But that's the good news that we exported the model and then we can simply copy paste it over here. That's why we exported it. So now we can put the model file in our folder for our server, and now we can try to load this somehow. All right. So the question, well, how do we load this model? Well, on the server, we'll say import pickle. Just like the pickle can be used to save the model, pickle can also be used to load the model. Load the model, the machine learning model. And we're going to use with open, similar syntax. The name of the model that we're trying to load, well, that is called home price model, but not with WB because W is for writing. We need to read the binary data, or read binary for B as file stream. And then file stream dot load, sorry, pickle dot load file stream. So pickle dot load file stream. So this is going to, when the server starts, this is going to load the model and it's going to put the model in the model file. Now, what is the model file? Let's go ahead and just print it out. Well, now it's the code that we're writing is not really getting executed right now because I still have to stop the server and run the server again. Okay, so now it's telling us something weird. It's telling us no module name sklearn, but where are we importing sklearn? I don't think we're importing sklearn. Pickle.load. Pickle.load is fine, I think. Import pickle. Let's go ahead and run it again. What's going on over here? No module name sklearn. Okay, so basically the problem is pickle is not from the Python, pickle is from sklearn. And in this project, we have not installed sklearn. So we need to install that. So pip install sklearn. I think that's how you will install the sklearn library, which is the machine learning library. Okay, so it looks like it might have been installed. Doesn't like it actually. What other library do we need to install? Let's see. Let's open up ChatGPT, ask it. Pip, probably I made a mistake. Pip install sklearn. Sklearn. Sklearn library. Yeah, we installed it. That should be okay. Not sure why it's messing around with that. Pickle.load. Okay. While import error, Python 3 something over here. Server line 8, pickle.load, no module name sklearn. I don't think I have to import sklearn or anything like that. From Is it like this? From sklearn, import pickle? I don't think pickle lives over there. Let's see what's going on. RBSFS. Hmm. Hmm. Why does it say? Maybe I need to install it from here. Is that possible? Pip install sklearn. Okay. Oh, maybe I'm using the wrong ones. It should be scikit-learn. Maybe that's why it's complaining. Let's see. Pip install scikit-learn. Okay, so it's trying to install something. All right. Now, if we run this, okay, taking a lot of time. I don't think it took that much time to run. And the server is not even working. Okay, so it took a while to run. And I think for some time it's like access denied, but I think if you open it up in different browser, it works, which is kind of weird. On Chrome, it says access denied for some weird reason. Yeah, see, access denied on Chrome. All right, let's close it. Sometimes just closing the Chrome browser and opening it again might help. Maybe it's got stuck, the process might be stuck somewhere. Okay, there we go. See, so now Chrome is working. Okay, so at this point, what we did is we were just installing the wrong one. We should have installed scikit-learn. So we ended up installing scikit-learn, and that allowed us to use pickle. And if we print out the model right there, you can see that it's printing out linear regression. That's what the model is because that's how we trained it. So now we can actually use this model to predict something. So let's see, how can we predict something? Let's create a new route. Predict. So this means that if somebody needs to predict, they need to go to this route, predict house price. What will be the URL? app.route, just predict. That's it. That's all you need to do. Just go to the predict and we'll predict the house prices. Again, I have to stop the server because I make some changes, run the server again. Go to predict. So it's definitely going to that route, and the route currently returns you the string, just like Hello World, just like Batman movie. But this is where we want to perform our actual prediction. So how can we predict over here? What do you think we should do at this point? I mean, we have the model. How do we perform prediction if you were just using Jupyter Notebook?
Sorry, I had to unmute. You would just put in the number. You would do the predict
Yeah,
function or method, and just put in the
put in the
number
number.
into a
Yeah,
data frame. Yeah.
yeah, there we go. And obviously, we need to create some sort of an interface that the user can enter the number and then we get the number over here. But it's a good idea to start basic. Like, what happens if I hard code the number to 2,500 square feet? Well, it's going to give us some sort of a result. And let's just see what the result is. taking one small step at a time. Again, I make some changes, so I need to go ahead and restart the server. Now, this restarting the server is kind of getting annoying. Like every time I make a change, I need to restart the server. I need to restart the server. So let's see that how we can, let me just put it over here, how we can make sure that we don't have to do this like it should be done automatically. Okay. So let's stop the server. In order to do this automatically, we will add a new file. What we're trying to do is to tell Flask, which is a framework that allows our Python to run on a server. We're trying to add a new file that will tell Flask that we are, you know, running in debugging mode. So whenever we save anything in server.py, you just restart it yourself. Don't allow us to stop and restart, stop and restart. So I'm going to go ahead and add a file called Flask env, which stands for Flask environment. And in this file, I will provide two different keys. One will be the name of my file, and the other will be, so key is Flask underscore app, and my app is server.py, that's my file. And Flask underscore debug is true, and that's it. But the name of the file has to be, it's kind of hard to see, but it has to be dot Flask env. If it's not this file, then it's not going to work. Okay, so all we did is edit a file, and we added these two keys with different values. And now we can probably try to run this, let's say Flask run debug. Okay, could not look in Flask application. Is that the application? I think that is the application. Server, let me see, server.py. Yeah, it was giving this problem before. The file name is Flask, FLAS, and then this should be server.py. I don't know if it has to be like this. App.py. No, our app is called server.py, so it should be server.py. That's fine. Let me add one more thing. Actually, that doesn't really matter that much. Let's see. Rename fighter, fast run. Yeah, this was giving me issues before also. It's kind of like a weird stuff that they have to do. Let's see if that works. Oh, maybe it's because I didn't install something. And I think that's what the error was saying. Okay, let's not do that. All right, so it says do pip install python.env. So we need to install python.env. There we go, done. Maybe now I can see this. Okay, now it's better. Now you can see that if I go to my server file, if I press space, 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 and save it, as soon as I save it, the server restarts. So that's much more nicer. So I don't have to do it again and again. All right, so let's see what's going on over here. So we have a new route called predict. We're predicting square feet 2,500. We're simply printing the result. Let's go to that route. And you can see right there, that's the value it's predicting, right? It's $674,000. So that's pretty cool that we are on the server. We pass in 2,500. It predicts a price. If I change this to 6,500 square feet, the price should definitely go up. Now, let's go ahead and just go to this route again and press enter. And there we go. It went to like 1.5 million. So definitely our algorithm, our model is working, which is great, but just printing the price over here is not enough. I mean, we need to return the price. I mean, how is the user going to even see the price? So instead of returning predict house prices, we can return not the result, because I guess you can try to return the result, but it may not work. We need to return a result as a string or something else. So we can probably format it. So we can say result, but result is not really a number. If you print the type of the result, you will find out then we can find out what is the type of the result. I mean, is it like some sort of a number or something else? Well, let's go and check it out. You can see that the result is NumPy array. So that's why we can't really send back the result like this, because the only things you can send back are the primitive types like integer, Boolean, dictionaries, arrays, strings. So how do we access the number from the result? Well, we just want to access the result, which is a NumPy array, and it's a two-dimensional array. So just give us whatever is on the first location of the row and first location of the column. And now if I go there, now I get 1.5 million. That is good. Let's go ahead and change it to 2,500 just to keep the number smaller. Okay, so now it's returning us 674 or 674,000 dollar house. So it looks like it's working, which is pretty cool. But when we go to predict, well, a couple of things are wrong. This is hard-coded. How is the user going to enter these things? We need a text box over here. We need another text box over here. We need some sort of a button over here, which will say predict. Well, I guess we only need one text box. We're going to enter like 2,500 or something like that. So we need to create an HTML page with a text box and a button. And this is called templates. We can create a new folder. We must call that templates. And inside that folder, we can add whatever file you need. I'm just going to call it index.html. And let's just see how to present this file. Now, if I go to my server.py, over here, instead of doing all the calculation and all that, I can give user the page itself. So let's comment this out. I want to present the user with the page. And these pages are called templates, or under the templates they are. But in order to render those pages, give the user those pages, we will need to import something different. We will need to import Flask, or from Flask, import render template. And using the render template, we can render an actual page. I can say render template and the name of the page I want to render, index.html. This means when I go to predict, since my pages are inside the templates folder, I don't have to specify the folder over here on line number 25. Everybody knows or Flask knows that the index.html will be inside templates folder. That's just a convention. So now if I go to predict, I see my index file. I see my index.html. So that's good. Okay, let's not call this index file. Let's call it home price detector or something like that. Let's save it. Okay, home price detector. That's good. So now we are in pure HTML. What do we need? Well, we need an input type box with a text field. So user can enter some sort of a text. Placeholder can be enter square feet. Let's go ahead and see if we can see okay, we got the text box. We can enter something. We also need a button. Predict home price. Predict home price. The next thing we need to do is whenever we put this value or any value and we press this button, we want to send this value to the server. When you did your web application program, did you learn about how to perform a form post?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to apply the same concept. We're going to say form. We're going to just wrap up everything with the form element. But where is this value? Where are these values, or only one value, square feet, is going to be submitted? So what we can do is, if we go back to our server, for the predict route over here, we can actually say that this predict route is going to be used as both for the methods for get as well as post. If the person is just going to this 127.0.0.1 5000 predict, if they're just typing it out in the URL, then the get will be invoked, the get route. So we need to check which one is get, which one is post. If the request coming from the user, if the method of that request is get, in that case, we will show that user or return that user with the template. We will present them the page, which is the home price detector page, and making sure that we also need to import the request. There we go. Else, if it's post, then we will simply return post right now, but we will have to do something about that. All right. So any question regarding this part? This can be a little bit confusing as what we're trying to do over here.
No, that's straightforward for me.
All right. So right now, I just click over here on the URL. I just press enter. It's a GET request. If it's a GET request, it's going to go over here. GET request. Okay, I'm just going to show you the page. I'm just going to present you or render the page to you. But when I entered something over here and I press predict home price, that's going to be a post request. So let's go back to our index and say over here, method post, and action, meaning where are you going to post the request? It's going to be the route called predict. That's where it's going to post. This means that when I entered something in the text box and I press the button, the value that I enter in the text box will be posted to the route predict. One other thing that is missing in this is we need to provide a name to our text box, or else the value will not be posted. So let's first see the problem. And you can always see this problem if you just open up the Google Chrome inspector tool over here at the bottom, go to network, and let's just enter something. Predict. Okay, so that's good because it shows that it's going to the predict route, and it does return you post, but when it posted, where are the values? I put 4,500. I don't see any values anywhere. See that? You should see another tab over here, another option over here, which will call payload. But we don't. So this means that the 4,500 that we placed in the text box is not being sent to the server. Well, if it's not being sent to the server, there's no point moving forward with anything. We need to fix this issue. This means that when you, as a customer, is going to enter some value like 6,500, 4,500 square feet, 200 square feet, then that value is not even going to the server. If it's not going to the server, your machine learning algorithm, nothing matters. So let's fix that. And the way that you fix that, if you go to your input control over here, you just have to provide it a name. That's it. What value are you sending? You can put any name you want. I'm just going to call it SQ square feet like this. But you can put anything you want. Now let's go ahead and save it. I'm going to go to my predict page again. I'm going to enter something over here. Let's say 1,800. Predict home price. Click on this request. This is under network. And now magically you can see this payload tab appearing. And it actually tells you the name that you assign to your being the name that is posted and the value that you entered. The name is coming from the text box. You can see the name matches this one and this one. So that name, it becomes the key to the body that is posted to the server. And if you don't see it in the form data in the payload, then we got a bigger problem, but now we can see it. All right, so any question regarding that part?
No questions.
All right, so the form is getting submitted. We can definitely confirm that the value square feet 1,800 or whatever we are sending, whatever we type in the text box is getting posted to the server. But now the server needs to extract that value so that it can perform some calculations on it. So inside over here in the post part, we need to extract the value. Extract the square feet value from the body of the request. How do we extract the value? Request.form.get and the name of the key, meaning square feet, SQ feet, exactly as it is. And this SQ feet, I believe, will be in string value. We want it to be float, so not a big deal. We can just wrap it in float, and this is going to give us something. We can call it whatever, square feet. Or whatever value you want. I mean, I can say square feet like this. Now we have the square feet value, what the user has entered in the text box. Well, now it's simple. Let's go ahead and use the code that we were using before. Instead of 2,500, put the square feet. This is going to return you the result. That part remains the same. And then we can do something. Now, what do we do at this point? I think that's the question. So what do you want to happen when somebody is on this page and they entered 2,500 and I say predict home price? What do you think should happen? Like if you were on this website.
It should actually display it on the website instead of just printing to the console.
Okay. So maybe we want, like if somebody says 2,500, we want, something like this to be displayed probably. The price of the house will be 684,000, right? Something like that. So in this scenario, when we enter 2,500, we say predict home price. We want to see the same page. Okay. So how do we see the same page? Well, we render the same page. But if we render the same page, what do we want to display in the page? We want to display the price on the page or some sort of a value. And the good thing about these templates is that you can pass values to it. So I can say over here price equals to, and I can, price is just a variable that I'm creating, but I guess you can call this anything you want. Result 0, 0, which is result was a numpy, and we're just picking the first location from the row and the first column. That is going to give us 684,000 or whatever. So we are rendering the same page, which is index.html, but we are passing an additional data to the page, which is not yet going to get displayed, but we can display it easily. And that data that we are sending is in a variable called price, but you can name this variable anything you want. So now let's see what happens. It's not going to display anything, but let's see what happens. If I enter 2,400 or whatever, if I press on predict home price, this page is just going to refresh. See that? It just refreshed because once the price is calculated and everything, the page is rendered again. But the price is not getting displayed. So whenever we pass these additional data to the page, we can access these variables inside the page by using a special syntax, which is 2 curly brackets, and then the name of the variable you called it, which is price. These are called, well, these are values that are just injected, I guess, in the end. But these things make the page dynamic. Dynamic means that the server can pass any value over here, and that value is now, it can be displayed right over here. So now if I go and run this, not like that, there we go. There we go. We got the value on our actual page, like $630,000. All right. Now, if I go to my server.this, and I wonder if I can pass like multiple things. So if I say over here, name equals to John Doe, let's save it. And if I want to print the value of a variable name, which is John Doe, in my page, I can go and probably do something like this. There we go, John Doe. All right. Now we can make sure that this is a little bit nicer looking, I guess, or a little bit more organized. We can check, we don't really care about the name, so we're just going to remove the name part. We can check that only only display the price when you actually have the price. So we can probably check over here if, it's kind of weird syntax, but if the price is available, if price, meaning if the price is not nil, then you can go ahead and display any kind of a control, like any kind of a HTML element, and I can say whatever I want. The predicted house price is, and now I can insert the price, and make sure that we end this also. The if should end also. So it should be like this, and if like this. Let's go ahead and run this. The predicted house price is something, something, all right? There's some weird syntax I can just copy paste, and that will allow us to format the price also a little bit nicer, like this syntax. And now I can go put a price, let's say 6,500, and there we go. So this, and that's it, that's our complete app. But hopefully this is going to give you much more idea that all the time we were, you know, kind of like living in the world of Jupyter Notebook, and we were creating these models, training these models. But what will be the practical implication of all those things? And this is a very practical app. I mean, it's very simple, but it's very practical. I mean, I think in your real application, you will not only have square feet, you will have, you know, number of bathroom, number of bedroom, other stuff. So your farm will be much bigger, but I think this will give you a much a better opportunity to play around and add all of those different things you can add over here and then predict the home price. So that's a very this is a very real example of how um, all the learnings that we have done regarding linear regression can be used to make a practical application. All right. Any question regarding this? I know it's like a lot of stuff, but it's quite simple. I've never worked with Flask, so this is also my first time trying it out. But it's quite simple. It's pretty much like, you know, Node or Express. The syntax is a little bit
Right.
different. But
Yeah.
once you know one of them, you kind of know all of them.
Right.
Right.
I was wondering, like in
Mhm.
the case, say for instance, we did want to implement this in like Django or Express. I don't know Django, but I know Express.
Mhm.
Um, would you basically do you know if there's a way to integrate
The model.
um the
Hmm.
model into Express, or would you have to create some sort of API with Flask or something like that?
I actually thought about that. That's a very good question, the API part, because that's what my first, I was trying to do that. But the only reason I didn't do the API is because if I create the API using Flask, which is perfectly fine, then I have to do JavaScript to create the client, right?
Right.
And I wanted to just keep it super Python related because, I mean, you know JavaScript, which is great. But if there were other students in the class, they will be like, why are we doing JavaScript? What is JavaScript?
Right, right,
So,
right. Yeah,
but your
makes
question
sense.
of like, if you were doing it, how can we import model in JavaScript. I have not, not worked with that, but that would be a good research. That if you have this model called home price model that you created using linear regression, scikit-learn, can you somehow import it and use it in an Express application? I don't know the answer. I'm not sure, but that will be cool because you already know Express, and Express is a little bit more simpler. Well, it's kind of same, but I think it's a little bit more intuitive, I guess. All right. All right. So this hopefully give you a little bit more practical idea of what is possible, and it will open up doors for a lot of things. I mean, think about logistic regression. Like maybe there's a button over here to upload a file and you upload a picture of iris and predict what kind of category this iris belongs to. And then you're running some algorithm, the model, and then you're trying to find out, oh, this iris was Vertessa or whatever those categories were. So a lot is possible in these things, but I think this is just a start. Yeah. All right, let's see if I can, where is this project? This one. This is very large. Why is it so large? Probably the PyCache templates. I think if you have these three things, you can do whatever you want. So compress, and I'll name it a little bit nicer. I'll call it home price detector Flask app. And yeah, you can play around with this. I think you can create a really nice application with the code that we have covered today. Yeah, I mean, we have already done the home prices with a little bit more variables, not only with square feet, like, it was um, number of vicinity to the school, closeness to the city and all that stuff. So you can add all of those UI stuff and make it like super great. Um, Not sure if you can publish it. I guess no, yeah, publishing will be a different story because it's not a static website. But at least you will be able to run it locally. So that's really good. I think it's going to look really nice on your resume and everywhere that you created an actual website where you can predict prices and it will display, not like, oh, let's go to the Jupyter notebook and do all that stuff. So that's kind of cool. All right, so this is something extra that we covered, just to show you that integration with Flask or any kind of a UI is possible to make it real world looking. All right. All right, any other questions before we wrap up the class?
No, that was actually really cool.
Right. All right. We'll try to do, I mean, this is also the first time I'm using Flask and all that, but we'll try to see if we can do more of these like cats and dog pictures. Well, you will have to start with the machine learning model. Like if there's a machine learning model you want to train, which can distinguish between cats and dogs, where would we even begin? I mean, I guess we'll begin with having lots of pictures for cats and dogs, and then that will be the first step. All right. All right, so that is it. You have the code, play around with it, and I will see you tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow.
All right.